I get asked a lot about, like, Eunice, how did you come up with that? How did you come up with that answer? Like, did you find it from a book or something? Because this is like the most profound way I've heard it. I've never heard it in this way before. Today, I want to share with you how I do it in hopes that it would encourage you to find your own language and to empower you to do it. Because I definitely believe that every single person has this ability to locate the answer within them and to be able to say some things that are not just inspirational, but really helps other people make sense given the context, given the opportunity for you to say it, given the right person to hear it from you at the right time in your language. So I think there are definitely like several elements to it, so I'm going to dive into it. The first thing is I'm very perceptive. Perceptive meaning when I learn about something, I really like to get like into it. Like I like to tear it apart. I like to put it back together. I like to see how it works. I like to look at it from different angles. I like to step inside of it. I like to step outside of it. I like to understand why things work the way they do. And when it comes to like our own human or spiritual experiences, I like to experiment things, you know? So it's very difficult for me to just take an advice from a life coach and say, I'm going to run with it and this is definitely going to work for me. I carry a level of skepticism. And I think that's like a healthy level of skepticism where like I need to test it out first and I need to find what works for me, what suits me. I need to see what fits me and why it fits me. This level of perceptiveness plays into the role of me being able to articulate things because you really have to be able to step out of your own shoes and see things from your client's perspective or your friend's perspective or whoever it is that you're talking to, and then step back out so that you can see, oh, I see where it's misaligned. I see where the misalignment is. I see why you're struggling now. But I also am with you. I can see why this problem is so painful and I see why it's so difficult. I see why you have been spending so long in this place and haven't been able to get out. Okay, so the first thing is perceptiveness. I think it's the most important element to have. The second thing is allow yourself to say it and explain it in your own words. I understand there are technical terms. I'm not professionally trained. I do not have a life coach certificate. I'm not a therapist at all. I don't have a psychology degree. So I am lacking in a lot of those languages and the understanding. And I don't understand like certain models. But that's not going to stop me from inquiring about how life works and how things fit together. I just have to learn it in such a way that makes sense to me. And I have to put it together. I have to explain things in the way that I learned it, in the way that I made sense of it. So when I explain something, it is with the most basic words because that is how I learned it. This is how I made sense of it. And there's no extra fluff. This is just how I communicate every day. And so naturally, if it makes sense to me, it would make sense to someone because the only way I can articulate something. So just use the vocabulary you know in the way that you like to describe things. I think the next thing is understanding that your feeling plays a big role. Your empathy plays a big role when you allow yourself to feel everything thoroughly, and it doesn't mean that you need to completely take the role and take up all the emotions from your client. It doesn't mean that you need to take on all the emotions, but when you receive a question, you have a small gap, a time frame to thoroughly understand what's the real struggle. Because oftentimes when people have a question, sometimes you need to really listen between the lines. Like, is that the real challenge? Or is it something deeper? And it's really asking for your spidey senses or your intuition to inform you, oh, I think there's something else. I feel there's something else. And you might not need to be able to locate it right away. Just knowing yes, no, and being able to feel into is this the problem or is this something else? And that may prompt you to look even deeper. That itself is going to help you navigate and help your clients navigate where they're leading you to or where the answer is leading you to. So I like to see your role as a bit of a detective. And at the same time, you're like, you don't have the big picture yet. You haven't solved the mystery yet, but you're looking for clues. You're looking for, is this the story? Or is there something missing? There's like some missing elements. It sounds like this is not the real struggle. So what is it? Then that's going to prompt you to look even deeper. And oftentimes I find myself having to guide and redirect my clients to go even deeper to let me know what the real issue is. Because oftentimes, people will come to me and ask, how do I be more confident? How do I get people to like me more? And they could be, some superficial questions. But underneath that question, there is this sense of, well, I'm afraid of being alone. And I'm afraid that I will end up alone. What's going to happen with my life? What are my parents going to think about me? I find that my role in those times are just attuning myself to what that person is really asking. And oftentimes, that itself will reveal to you whether or not you're closer to an answer or not. The next thing is you have to see yourself as a receiver. And receiver being that small moment where you have to just receive the signal, like what feels like an answer for you, what feels like the correct response for you. And it's going to feel true for you. Your client may not like the answer. It may not be what they're looking for, but it is the message that you receive. So you just wait for that certainty and then you translate it into words. And oftentimes the way that I do it, like for some of you, you may have like a fully formed sentence in your head, or you may like picture this is what the ideal scenario is going to look like before you say it. But for me, I translate my feelings into words, which means I'm going to say it as I'm feeling into it. So it's not like a fully formed feeling when I'm saying it to my client. And sometimes if I feel that the response is not something that the client wants to hear, I will let them know that they may not like this, but I'm going to articulate it anyway because that is how I am feeling into the truth, and the truth is going to be expressed in this way. So I'm just going to say it out and continue to feel into it as I am saying it. I hope that makes sense. I know that was really ambiguous, but for some of you, you may have to talk out loud, think out loud. Like if you are a very feeling-based person like me, and you are guided by your intuition, your feeling, like if you always find yourself asking yourself, do I feel like doing this or that? Or does this feel like reliable for me? Does this feel like truth for me? Does this person feel honest to me? Then this might work for you. But if you are the kind of person who really needs to like think everything out, this method is not for you. But I really wanted to address this in a video because I have been asked a ton of times how I come up with the answers, and I do not have a formula. That is as close as how I do it, and I really hope that satisfies the answer. So anyway, you do not have to do it the way I do, but if you try to, let me know if it works for you and tell it to me in the comments. With that said, take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.